Hello guys, it's me Dr. Isa Khan from the MedicoTube. As you people know that a new drug is added in the COVID-19 treatment, that is dexamethasone, and they added this drug as a life-saving drug in the COVID-19 treatment. So I already described about the dexamethasone, but it was not in that much detail. Today we will discuss it in the details. We will discuss its mechanism of action, the different types of the steroids and its side effects, and we will see how it suppresses the immune system, how it suppresses the inflammation. So let's go and discuss in the details. So let's look at the corticosteroids itself. Corticosteroids are produced by the gland above the kidney. The suprarenal gland have further two parts: cortex, which is the outermost part, and the medulla, which is the inner part. Now if you look at this drawing over here, this is the histopathological drawing of the cortex, which is further divided into three parts. The upper one is the three parts of the cortex, and this one is the medulla. The first one is called zona glomerulosa. This is responsible for the mineralocorticoids, which are responsible for electrolyte balance. And the second one, this one is called zona fasciculata. It produces glucocorticoids, which work with the carbohydrates and sugars. And the third one, this is called zona reticularis. This is responsible for the producing of androgens, which are the sex hormones. Means this one produces sex hormones. And if you look down here, this is the part of medulla. It produces catecholamines. It is like neuronal cells or neurons which produce epinephrines, which works with CNS system. Now let's look at how these steroids are released normally. Normally they release in stressful conditions like fear. Like nowadays there is fear with COVID-19. They release in pain, they release in injury to the body, they release in response to hemorrhage if there is any hemorrhage in the body, they release in hypoglycemia. Means if the sugar level is below than the normal level, like if the sugar level is below than 100 or 70 or below than 80, the corticosteroid release to protect the body. And they release in response to surgery, they release in response to cold, and they release in response to infections like nowadays the COVID-19 infection. So they release in response to infections and so on. These stressful situations can cause the release of steroid hormones. Now we don't know the exact mechanism for each one, that how do they release, but the end result is release of steroid to protect the body against the particular situations. Before we continue, I wanted you people to look at the different types of the steroids. The steroids are basically divided into three groups: the short acting, the intermediate acting, and the long acting. The short acting has very short duration of action and least potent. The intermediate action has little bit more duration of action and little more potent. And the last one is the long acting and very strong potent drugs. If you look at the hydrocortisone, its anti-inflammatory action is 1, and its duration of action is the short, and the equivalent dose is the 20 mg. If you look at the cortisone, its the anti-inflammatory action is 0.4. It's also short acting. And then the second one is the prednisolone. It's intermediate action, and if you look at its anti-inflammatory action, it's 4+. And if you look at the methylprednisolone, its anti-inflammatory action is 5. And if you look at the betamethasone and dexamethasone, which anti-inflammatory action is the 25 plus, and they are long acting, and their equivalent dose is 0.75 mg. The last one is the dexamethasone, which is used in the COVID-19. Just a few days back, the Oxford published a study, and they said this is the first life-saving drug. But if you don't have the dexamethasone, no problem. You can use hydrocortisone, you can use cortisone, and you can use prednisolone, methylprednisolone, betamethasone. They all work in the same manner. Now let's quickly look up at the mechanism of the action. The way I'm working on this one is to specifically the immune system, not every single area, which is so long, and it will take months to describe each single cell mechanism of the action for the corticosteroids. So first of all, let's here, if you see this diagram, steroid, this guy over here, this guy, it bonds with the specific proteins which are mainly produced by the livers, like cortisol binding globulins and the albumins. It's bind with these proteins, and these proteins get him into the cell. Once he get into the cell, he bind with the specific receptors, and these receptor and the steroid complex get into the nucleus. And so once they get into the nucleus, and they combine with the various genes to express the gene and make protein RNAs. But in some cases they inactivate the genes, and like in the immune system, they suppress. All steroids are suppressive for the immune system, so that's why we cannot recommend the steroids at the very early stages of the COVID-19, because if you suppress the immune system, it will not make the antibodies, and you cannot fight with the virus. So now let's look at their action. One action is the glucose metabolism. The basic purpose of the steroid is to get us energy for brain and muscles when we are under the stress. So what they do, they ask the liver to make a new glucose, which is called the gluconeogenesis. They break down the lipids to create the glucose. So that is the action for the carbohydrate and proteins. Now let's talk about the steroids action on lipids. Actually, the steroid caused fats redistribution. What happens is that the fats starts accumulating in the face, the back, and above the clavicular areas. So that is called, if you see here in this image, this is called Mohn pace, or buffalo hump, or supraclavicular fats. At the same time, the fats and muscles of the extremities start breaking down. So the person has very interesting habitus, which we call a steroid habitus, where there is very thin extremities and very thin limbs, but there are obese trunk, and upper area of the bodies become very obese. This habitus is called the steroid habitus. At the same time, steroids also increase pre-fatty acids. So this is the action of the steroids on the lipids. Then here is the action on the renal system. There is an electrolyte action by mineralocorticoid. What they do is they preserve sodium with which water will be preserved, so they can increase the blood pressure and blood volume. In exchange for preserving sodium, they throw out the potassium and hydrogen ions, which can cause alkalosis. And they also can throw out the sodium ions, which can cause hypocalcemia. Now let's talk about the effect of steroids on the cardiovascular system. The prolonged use of the corticosteroid can cause the fibrosis of heart muscles, which can lead to the heart failure and damage of the heart muscles. The another thing it's do is the vasoconstriction. Here you can see this is the normal vessel and this is the vasoconstriction. The vasoconstriction of the blood vessels, which can lead to hypertension. Here is the effects of the steroids on the muscles. The prolonged use of the steroid can cause fatigue and wasting of the muscles. In the CNS, the steroid presence keep our mood balance and behavior correct. But if we give extra steroids outside from the body, it can actually cause behavioral changes. People become hyper excitable. And if you stop the steroid, the patient will get in the depression. Here is the effects on the immune system. What steroid do? Let's say dexamethasone. They work on almost all the immune system and they would suppress majority of the action. So look at here, they suppress the lymphocytes. They suppress the eosinophils, they suppress the basophils, monocytes, and they do this just in a single dose within 6 hours. The polymorphonuclear cells, these are the cells that have the nucleus of multiple loops. These cells are increased in the number if you administer steroids. The adhesions. Steroid reduce the adhesions to the vascular valves. It decrease the migrations. It decrease the chemotaxis. It decrease phagocytosis. Phagocytosis is the process when an immune cell engulf any pathogen or dead cells. It reduces the respiratory burst. Respiratory burst is when immune system catch up and pathogen and it put it into the phagolysosomes. So this area where we burn the pathogen is called respiratory burst. All of the actions are reduced by steroids, so they are immunosuppressants. If you keep in mind that in case of COVID-19 or in case of septic shock or in case of acute respiratory distress syndrome, it's not the virus itself that we are trying to prevent or control. It is the runaway immune system. So steroids are of course going to help. So here if you see, they work on monocytes and they reduce their activity. They work on macrophages, that is the inert arm. We have been talking about the macrophages a lot. Macrophages eats up the coronavirus and then it would become activate. The activation process is that macrophages would connect with the naive T cells. There will be a co-stimulation. The result is that naive T cells would either become a T helper 1 cell or T helper 2 cells. If it become a T helper 2 cells, then it would release into interleukin. It would not be interleukin. It would be a interferon gamma. And let me erase this, and that would activate the macrophages. So the macrophage, look at here how many functions steroids suppress in the macrophages. They reduce the arachidonic acid pathway, they reduce the prostaglandins, they reduce the leukotrienes, and they reduce the interleukin 1s, they reduce the interleukin 6. Tumor necrosis factor is reduced, and we know very well that interleukin 1 is very important role. It go into the brain and cause a fever. Then if you see here is the steroid sitting on the dendritic cell and reduce the dendritic cell activity. So you would see almost every part of the immune system is reducing its actions. Here about the COVID-19, remember we talk about it. Macrophages connect with the naive T cells. There is co-stimulation. The result of that is in the presence of T helper cells. The naive T cells become T helper 1 cells. T helper 1 cells then produce interleukin 4 and interleukin 5, which causes the B cells to become active, and B cells produce antibodies. These are the antibodies we are chasing nowadays all the time, saying where are the neutralizing antibodies. So these antibodies then go and bind to the coronavirus and neutralize it. B cells is activated by T helper 1 cells, and when steroid is present, the activation is blocked, and there is a gene GATA3. Steroid activate that genes and it suppress the release of interleukin 4 and interleukin 5, which will then cause the B cells inactivation and the immune system go down. This is the reason that's why steroid is contraindicated and dangerous in the acute phases of the coronavirus. And now let's just look at this. This is the discussion we have been doing from a few days, and this is the inflammation. So not only the immune system is suppressed, inflammation is also suppressed as well. So what is the mechanism here? This is just the normal mechanism that normally how the inflammation occur. Remember that in our cells membrane we have phospholipids, and then these phospholipids are broken down by a phospholipase A2 enzyme, which convert the phospholipids to arachidonic acid, and then that arachidonic acid is worked on the cyclooxygenase and convert the arachidonic acid into the prostaglandins, thrombohexins 2 and other substances. Just look in this side. Arachidonic acid can also be converted into the leukotrienes by lipooxygenase. Steroid can actually block this area, this one, phospholipase A2 enzyme. So the result of that, the whole inflammatory system goes down, which is excellent when needed. We do not want immune system or the inflammatory system to go down in the early phases of the COVID-19 disease, because we want these things to fight. But once they are fighting more than they need to be fight, that is when steroid can come and suppress this system. So how do steroid do that? Let's see. Steroid goes into the cell and cause the cell to produce lipocortin 1. Lipocortin 1 then enters and block the phospholipase A2 enzyme, and it can block the COX2 enzyme. So the result of that, the inflammatory system go down. So the steroid have such a huge effect. Now just of some side effects. There is not sufficient time to discuss all the side effects of prolonged and high dosage steroid use. Again, we are talking about the steroid used in ICU and on the ventilated patients. This is not a drug, especially in case of COVID-19, to take in the early phases. It can be harmful. So let's look at the side effects. There are two types of side effects. One is the withdrawal effects, that is when somebody is using it and abruptly stopped it, and the other one is the prolonged use of supraphysiological dosage. So on the withdrawal side, first thing is that if you withdraw steroids, the underlying disease may rebound. Then the next one is the acute adrenal insufficiency, and then steroid can cause fever, myalgia, arthralgia, malaise, and pseudotumor cerebri. It's like there is no tumor, but the patient feel like there is tumor. If you look at the other side, there is fluid and electrolyte abnormalities. There is hypertension, there is increased infection susceptibility, there may be a peptic ulcer, there may be osteoporosis, myopathy, behavioral disturbances, cataract, growth abnormalities, hyperglycemia. This is the reason that we should be careful the using steroid in diabetic patients. And steroid use habits. There are some habitual diseases like pet distributions, steri, and ecchymosis.